Hello, you are watching my YouTube channel. I'm your host, kamranarshad. Today, I've invited a guest to my vlog and I'm going to discuss her life, her visions, her goals, and most importantly, her field. Good morning, everyone. Today, we have the privilege of sitting down with the distinguished Jenn Bragg, an international news journalist with an extensive background in communications. Jenn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, first question, Jen, tell us about yourself, what you have done in your life, and you can share your goals as well. How many goals have you achieved so far?
Well, I am from the United States, and from an early age, one of my goals was to live in different countries and explore different cultures. And I went to college. I grew up in a small town, and then I went to college in a small university in the U.S. and I studied international studies because I knew I wanted to do something international. But it was a very small school, so I didn't have to focus on anything specific because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And, but that involved diplomacy, French, a little bit of international relations, anthropology and sociology. I was able to study in London my third year of university, and that totally changed everything. I wanted to, I was able to see myself as an American in a different way, from a different point of view. And I met students from all over the world, Europe, Hong Kong, Palestine, Africa, Rwanda specifically. And it was so interesting. And London is very metropolitan, and I love film and cinema. And so I was able to go to all these theaters and watch the cinema. And so that was how I first got into the international scene. And then later on, I worked in the United States for a couple of years near Washington, D.C. And I did public relations, and then I did communications for an American-funded radio network called Radio Free Asia. You might be familiar with Voice of America.
Yeah.
Yes. And I got to meet people from all over East and Southeast Asia, and I was really taken by the stories of where they came from and how they arrived in Washington and the kind of stories that they would do. And then I wanted to become a journalist myself. And becoming a journalist, for me, it's not so much about investigative journalism. It was about meeting people from different cultures and learning about different political systems and cultural systems and all the things that we see today on international news. And so over the years now, 20 years later, I've been working in television. That was my first job out of graduate school. I went back to London to study. And I got a job in Russia because there was this new TV channel starting up called RT, or Russia Today.
Okay.
And then from there I went around the world and worked in different newsrooms.
And what about your goals?
My goals, it's funny because my goals, I always loved Europe. Americans and Europeans, we always have a thing about Europe. I was also very interested in Asia because I had worked with so many people from Asia.
How was your experience then, to working with them?
It was wonderful. I mean, some of the people who work for Radio Free Asia they can't go back to their home country, like Vietnam, China, they're sort of not allowed to go back home because of the reporting that they do for Radio Free Asia. And I got to meet some really lovely people, Tibetans, Cambodians, Vietnamese. I mean, it was so cool because I grew up in a very small town that was homogenous. People looked like me, and to meet people from another culture was really cool, personally and professionally.
All right, Jen, tell me, your background includes both international news, journalism, and communications, right? How do you leverage your journalistic skills to communicate complex global issues effectively? And how has your journalism experience influenced your approach to strategic communication?
Well, the most important, today is a lot different than 20 years ago. The whole
Hmm.
world has changed.
Hmm.
The countries that we thought were the powerful ones are not so powerful anymore, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of different countries are coming onto the scene. And it's, you know, when it comes to communications and journalism, the first thing I have to think about is the audience. Who's our audience?
Who's your
At
audience?
Al
Absolutely
Jazeera,
right. Okay.
yes, and you know, at Al Jazeera, we had a global audience, but I think we
Hmm.
had a lot of people in North Africa, for example. I mean, we're respected globally, but you know, we need to think about if we're telling a story about Pakistan, for example,
Yeah,
we need
I'm
to
from
have an
Pakistan, do
understanding.
you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
I can't just report on Pakistan as though I don't have to do any research and I don't know anything, because I have to understand the political system,
Hmm.
who the key players are and what's happening. So if
Hmm.
I do a story on Pakistan,
Hmm.
there are people in Pakistan who are going to be watching, and I
Yeah.
don't want to give misinformation, obviously.
Okay.
And I want to be very clear. The other thing that I think is really important is I have to break everything down into key points. So
Hmm.
if there's a story that we're reporting
Hmm.
or something we're communicating, what are the main key points? Because there's so much information sometimes that you can get easily lost.
Hmm.
And so if I break it down into maybe like a visual in my head, even with key points of what the
Hmm.
story is and what I want to say, that makes it much easier to boil down a complex issue into something a little more simple.
Okay. All right. Okay. Covering international news often involves navigating diverse cultures and perspectives. Can you share an experience where your cross-cultural understanding played a significant role in shaping the narrative or communication strategy? And how do you ensure sensitivity and accuracy when dealing with diverse global audience?
Well, one of the main issues in the world today is migration, global migration, and it's caused a lot of challenges for governments all over the world.
Hmm.
And so we have to think carefully about, what do we call these people who are moving from one country to another? Are they escaping something? Are they looking for economic, a better economic life? So language is really important. For example, the word refugee as opposed to the word migrant. A migrant can be somebody who, you know, moves to the United States because they want to make more money and build a life for their children. A refugee is somebody who is escaping from a bad situation or a potentially harmful situation for themselves or their family.
Hmm.
So for me, language is really important.
Hmm.
And every place that I've worked, there's a style guide. And it's really important to adhere to the style guide, because every TV channel that I've worked at, they have different styles and words for these types of things. And it's
Hmm.
really important to be very, very focused on that, because you don't want to, first of all, insult a population by calling them, you know, something that sounds inhumane or rude or, you know, inappropriate.
Hmm.
Is there anything else? Because I forgot the
Okay,
second part of
man.
your
Actually,
question.
I
Sorry.
was actually, I stay focused on you, what you are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, tell me,
Well, yeah.
journalism and communication can be fast-paced and demanding. How do you prioritize and manage tasks effectively, especially when working on tight deadlines and dealing with breaking news? Can you provide an example of a situation where your time management skills were crucial delivering a successful outcomes?
Yes, I have a lot of experience in breaking news. I used to
Hmm.
be a program editor at Al Jazeera, which
Hmm.
involved putting the show together, you know, the top story, second, third story, and then I would be in the control room and
Hmm.
talking to the director who's putting the images on the screen. I talk to the reporter or the anchor or presenter. I talk to, you know, the news desk who's behind the scenes gathering information. And so often we would have breaking news. The most important thing about prioritizing breaking news is to get the facts right and to be accurate.
Hmm.
Because the last thing you want to do is put a message out into the world that is incorrect, because somebody's going to see it and they're going to discredit your organization because you are discrediting your
Hmm.
own company.
Hmm.
So I think the most important thing is confirmation before publication, whether that's communications or television or journalism, it doesn't matter. So what I would do is, obviously I have to stay calm as well, because breaking news can be very exciting, but I want to make sure that my anchor in television knows what's happening and that we're potentially going to have this story. Then I want to talk to my news desk people and ask them for confirmation. And that means they call the reporter, they find somebody on the ground who has, you know, a solid reputation, who can give us some information. They will sometimes find somebody for us to talk to on the phone to get more information about what they're seeing. So I think the main thing is not to be impulsive and to talk to everybody involved in the situation when communicating breaking news and trying to prioritize the information so we can get it out accurately, timely. I would rather hold on a story and have another channel break the news than for us to get it wrong. So it's important to make sure that we are covering ourselves, you know?
That's great. That's great. What tools do you use to getting breaking news or investigate the news that it is right news or a false news? What tools do you use for this?
Well, obviously social media, you know, even though Twitter, which we call X now, has changed a lot, and there's a lot of allegations of misinformation, and there is some misinformation, there are tools. Frankly, we have a department for that, so I don't actually check for the accuracy, but I know that there are ways to check to make sure that what people are posting on social media is not a deep fake or some kind of misinformation, because obviously that is a big challenge for communicators today, whether you're in TV or in communications. So that's one thing, but also social media is an amazing tool. I mean, for me, and I can also use different, there used to be something called TweetDeck and with Twitter, and now I think you have to pay for it. It's called something different, but you can have various, possibly, yes. Okay. You have to, but you have to, it's basically a screen and you can open as many windows as you want. And if there's a hashtag, like hashtag Pakistan fire, you can follow who's tweeting about it and who's writing about it, who's posting pictures and videos. And then we have a department that can verify that and say, okay, this is a story, we're going to go for it. So, you know, that's pretty important when it comes to verification and making sure we're not putting something out there that is fake or, you know, misrepresenting something.
That's perfect. That's perfect, Jen. Okay, crisis situations often require swift and clear communication. Drawing from your experiences, how do you approach crisis communication in the realm of international news? Can you share a case where your communication skills were instrumental in providing accurate and timely information during a challenging situation? Did you ever face?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my news experience doing breaking news is a really good example. For example, there was a coup d'etat in Sudan when the military took over, and this was several years ago now. And, you know, my job, I'm talking to probably 5 or 6 different people at the same time. And so I became a bit of a master, you know, at communicating, because I want to make sure, most importantly, that everybody in the operation understands that something big is happening and what it is and what we think it might be, but we don't know yet. So for me, when it comes to crisis communications, it goes back to prioritizing the facts. What do we know? What do we don't know? What have we verified? What have we not verified? But the most important thing is that everybody knows what's happening and that something is happening. And then I choose who I talk to. You know, if I'm in the control room, I'm going to be talking to the person in the control room who's running the show technically. I'm going to talk to the anchor. Those are my most important people. They need to know what's happening because they're looking for me to tell them what's next. And then I'll talk to the news desk and find out what the situation is. And then they will find out from a reporter or somebody who can help us, a good source or an expert. And then you have people who are booking guests, you know, trying to find a voice who can put in some context what's happening. So for me, crisis communications is stay calm, basically stay calm and don't freak out. and maybe jot down some messaging, you know, like this is what's happening. This is what potentially could happen as a result of this event. You know, these are the people who would be affected. You know, so if you break it down like that, at least you have like a note card of information. And then you expand on that as you get more information coming in. But obviously, when it comes to really difficult situations, like working for an organization that gets into big trouble about something, you probably have a whole team backing you to get the messaging right, because you want to stay on
It's
message.
actually a teamwork.
Yes, exactly. You have to work with the team.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, last question. I want your opinion on this. Who is gonna be president of United States?
Oh, well, listen, I'm going to tell you something, and this is what I really feel in my heart. So I've been living abroad for many years now, and I was just in France for a year and a half. I'm looking at my home country and I'm saying, what is going on? Okay, so I'm pretty clueless. I might as well be from another country because I don't understand what's happening. But I suspect that Trump and Biden are going to be facing off. I think that after the pandemic, Americans do not have the energy for another election. And I'm a little scared about what's going to happen. So.
And what about Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley, you know,
she's doing a great job as far as I follow her.
Well, I think her work at the UN gives her, you know, this is an international world. I mean, the American government has a lot of international stuff on its plate. We have a lot of internal stuff as well, but the international piece is really, really important, especially in today's world with all the things that's going on. And I think the fact that she has that experience could be very valuable. But I'm concerned that we are going to be moving backwards again with a conservative leader, and that as a woman and, you know, as someone who's 20 years from retirement, that makes me a little bit nervous. So we're just going to have to see.
All right. As we conclude our conversation, Jenn, we are grateful for the depth, your insights, and the wealth of experience you have shared with us today. Your journey through the ever-shifting landscape of international news and your commitment to responsible and transparent reporting are truly commendable. Thank you so much. Thank you very much again, Jenn.
Thank you, Kamran.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.